Zach, do you remember the casting process for A Christmas Story?
Oh yeah. The casting process in A Christmas Story was a cattle call. I was 12 years old. I went there with my mom. There were 300 kids, and you walked in front of a camera, a giant VHS camera. They put these huge tapes in, and I was the sidekick. I wasn't the lead bully. So the lines were, "Nah, your Aunt Fanny, get over here!" Like that was kind of it. So you do that over and over, and it went from like 300 down to 200, 150, 180, 50, 10. And then apparently I got the job. And then, so I learned how to say, "Nah, your Aunt Fanny," many times. And then I got the job, and we were shooting in, I think it was Cleveland. I think Cleveland was the first place we shot. And we get out there, and we're dressed up in our wardrobe. So I get the great hat and the 1940s stuff, which is itchy as hell. And then I meet Yano Anaya, who plays Grover Dill. And the wardrobe mistress takes us out to Bob Clark. I've never met him before because everything I did was on tape. And so he's sitting there in a low chair. It's freezing, and he's got a big puffy jacket on. And the wardrobe mistress walks up and says, "Bob, so this is your Grover Dill, and here's your Scutt Farkus." And I guess that was the first time that Bob saw the height disparity. And he looks up, he's like, right. You get his lines, he gets yours. Great, good. Action. And that was it. So that's how how Scutt Farkus became the bully and Grover Dill became the sidekick.
And did you learn the other lines before yours? Were you one of those, or you just only saw your lines?
It was pretty easy. I mean, it wasn't rocket science. There were no soliloquies in A Christmas Story. And my mother's an actress, so she would just run it with me over and over again. And then when we actually were shooting, Bob would come up, and he treated us like young professionals. So if you were fooling around being a kid, that's great. And now we're shooting, and you drop your line, he'd walk over. And I remember there's one scene I dropped my lines 3 or 4 times, and I think I was distracted, and I was being a silly little kid. I was like, and Bob walks over. He's like, "Hold on, cut, hold on, everybody." And he walks over to me, and he puts his arm around me. He was very fatherly. He's like, "All right, Zach, I'll run the line." And I ran it. He's like, "Good, okay, run it again." I did. He's like, "Good, one more time. One more time. Wait, what was the line? Okay, dude, one more time. And again. Ooh, you know what? One more time. And again. And one more time." Starts walking back, goes, wait, Zach, what was that line? Perfect. Thank you. Let's go. Because he expected you to be a professional, but he was also a father, so he was very kind. And that sort of set a standard for have fun, but bring your A game and show respect to the set. And you can have fun and dick around when you know your lines.
According to your IMDb, it says that the role for Scutt Farkus came down between you and another red-haired boy at that time. Was that
Yeah.
right? And let's just say that the other actor got the role and you didn't.
Okay.
Okay. Do you think things would have taken off? Because you know how they say the one thing usually kind of sets people in motion, and they would always see maybe Scutt all the time. Do you think that changed everything? That one instance of you, I know you had several callbacks, I guess, for the role.
Mm-hmm.
Change things for you in terms of if you didn't get it but you still came to LA, maybe you came in your 20s, hypothetically, to try to take your shot, that you would be here grinding it out the way so many talented people are as well?
I think if I didn't get A Christmas Story, then definitely my life story would be different. Because when Christmas Story came out, it wasn't a success. Nobody liked it. It was in the theaters for 2 weeks. And then it was replaced by Rambo 2, I think. It then came out the following year. Nobody cared. Leonard Maltin retracted a review that he had posted. Apparently he hadn't liked it the first year, but then said this is a great movie. But really no one cared. It wasn't really until the 20th anniversary where its tipping point became sort of galvanized Americana to be something that they all said, yes, this is our Christmas movie. And I think it was at that point forward where people just appreciated that I had been in it. It wasn't that cool? You know, that guy was Scutt Farkus? Yeah, no shit, that guy. Yeah, still acting. Yeah, he's still acting. And it became kind of a fanboy thing. Honestly, I did a TV show for Joss Whedon, Dollhouse. I did Epitaph 1 and Epitaph 2. And his brother, Jet Whedon, and his Marissa, his wife, cast it. And Jet was saying later, he was just so excited to work with Scutt Farkus. And I think what was odd about it is that, you know, all the other kids, Peter Billingsley is a producer who does Iron Man and works with Vince Vaughn, so he's got a huge production company and went a different way from an earlier age than I did. And so he doesn't really have the same experience. He doesn't really care to talk about it. It's not something that puts a smile on his face. I've had sort of the opposite experience, which was I've been a working actor all my life, and so for people to come up and go, oh my gosh, we watch you every year and it's great. And my little kid Billy, I got him a Red Ryder BB gun. He's like, yes, Scutt Farkus. I'm like, yes, I am. Nice to meet you, son. And then the grandfather's like, it was like that when I was your boy, you know, and all this. For me, it's the best Christmas experience there is. And I think I would miss that most of all. I think how it affected my career is it made people realize my longevity and know that I'm sort of a marathoner and not a sprinter.
Zach, do you feel an actor has control over their career in Hollywood?
I don't. Does an actor have control over their career? Okay, that's a really hard question to answer. You have options that you can try and execute, but unless you're producing, directing, and distributing, you really don't. You have to do the best you can and let the chips lay where they lay, because there's so much that you can't control. And he had Academy Award winning actor Sir Ben Kingsley playing in the film. And I learned a big lesson from that film, which is that a crappy director can make Sir Ben Kingsley look like a crappy actor. So when Sir Ben Kingsley, Academy Award winner, looks like a half-ass in a feature film, you know it's not Sir Ben Kingsley's job that he didn't do, it's the rest of the process. So you try to generate as much content as you can. You can control the scripts you involve yourself with if you have the money to pay the rent otherwise. You can try and tweak out the scripts you work on with changing the dialogue, or bringing your A game when it comes to acting and helping out with the choreography and really being on set and knowing your blocking. But once you walk off that set, they can do whatever they want to with your material, and you have no control over that. Unless you want to shoot everything yourself, which nowadays is an option. But when I was a kid, up till 10 years ago, 8 years ago, that wasn't an option. So maybe nowadays, yes. Back in my day, no. God, I sound so old. This is great.
Do you believe anybody can make it in Hollywood?
I do not believe anyone can make it in Hollywood. I do not believe anyone can make it anywhere. You have to have a certain level of talent, and you have to have a level of work ethic. 90% of success is just showing up, and you have to go do it. And there's a lot of people who wish they were actors, and they're really, really horrible at it. They suck. Like, I can't make it as a singer. I can't sing.
You wanted to be a singer?
No, but I would love to be the person who, when he sings in the shower, someone's like, that's really good. That's really good. I'd like to be able to sing a romantic song to my girlfriend. I don't want to hurt the poor woman, so I choose not to. But it's a skill set, and make it in Hollywood in what? In being a DP, and in being a set designer, and being a visual effects designer, a matte painter, practical effects. Because anybody can take the materials, the silicone, and punch the hair, but it comes down to your subjective view of elegance and design, whether or not you share that with everybody. And so I think Hollywood is the same as any mechanism where you're creating an art form. It has to be at a level that other people want to share, because if it's crap, they don't want it.
I'm referring to in front of the camera, and when you say that it takes talent and work ethic, which do you see a lot of people putting in? More the talent and taking a lot of classes, but not.
It's hard because so many people want to be actors because they're pretty. Obviously, that wasn't my motivation. It depends upon what their goals are when they get into it. If they think that because they're pretty and everybody at the high school wanted them to be king of the prom and they can see themselves walking that red carpet and have everybody high five them, then those people will always exist. But like there's millions of them, and they're, aside from being pretty, unfortunately a lot of times they're very bland, and they don't carry a story value that connects with people, makes them care. They don't have a sense of vulnerability and pain and that they share with people to identify with. I see a lot of them and I don't care for them, to be honest. I'm not jealous, but bring up like Brad Pitt. Look at that gentleman's career, and he's gone from being incredibly sexy to incredibly sexy and incredibly deep, and really pushing himself as he becomes older and adding gravitas to his roles and mocking himself and becoming kind of meta about who he is and being self-commentary. I think that's a real accomplishment for someone who is the A-lister pretty boy value. But so that's the work ethic he put into it, choosing how to see himself differently. And I don't know if you can do that if you're 21 years old and really, 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 really super good looking.
It's interesting when you say
that's my blue steel, by the way. Zoolander? Okay.
When you say bland, is that because they haven't gone through sort of some of these arcs, that the ones that maybe didn't get asked to the dance or didn't get chosen for whatever social group experience?
I don't want to make gross generalizations because that's not fair. And but if you're incredibly good looking, things in your life are easier. And we know this since we're children. Really pretty people have people doted upon them. Like if you're a pretty woman, and I'm sure when you were a little kid, you were a pretty little girl with big eyes, and people are like, oh, what do? No one says that to little slanty-eyed redheads. They look at them and go like, oh, you have a baby. So it's a very different dynamic. And I think that people who don't have, what's the word I'm looking for? They don't have issues they have to overcome on a regular basis, then they don't find their own internal strength the same way. They don't have that thing to relate to. When it's too easy for you, what do you draw upon?
What's the most insane risk you've ever taken in your career?
Moving to Los Angeles was the most insane risk I ever took in my career. I left Toronto. I had a TV series called Boogie's Diner, and it was garbage. It was a show sort of like Saved by the Bell, but nobody saw it, so that's awesome. It was a Canadian show. It had Jimmy Marsden on it. Now James Marsden, you may know him as Cyclops from the X-Men, but back then he was just Jimmy. And it was crap. Like, you should really look it up how bad it was. It was horrendous. But it was funny because it was Canadian. It had to be shown on the Canadian content channels. So you have CFTO or City TV in Toronto. These are Canadian channels, and they would have to show a certain amount of Canadian programming in order to qualify for whatever they have to qualify for. So they put us. There was Cheers, great show, and Seinfeld, and in between them was our piece of crap, Boogie's Diner. And if you look this thing up, you'd be like, ooh, that's bad. It was horrible. And I would be out at a bar or something like that, and people like turn to me and go, hey, I saw your show. It's like, oh, really? They go, yeah. It's great you're working. It's really good you're working. I'm like, no, it's shit. I know exactly what it is. But when that finished, I felt like I had hit a level in Toronto that I was going to constantly be that waiter walking into a big movie saying, yo, a salsa? Or these tiny roles. It just didn't matter, and I wanted to take a shot. So I left Toronto, moved to Los Angeles, stayed with my father, who lives up in Pasadena. And I went from having a beautiful apartment down on the lakeshore in Toronto to sleeping in my little brother's room on a pull-out bed underneath his bed. And I would wake up with gerbils and puppies piddling on me, which is awesome. And the first couple of jobs that I had, I think the first one was for the AFI, American Film Institute. And it was this, I think it's called Corner of Gold. If you look it up, I still have long hair back then, and like, yo. And I shot this thing, I had almost no lines. And you gotta remember, I had a fucking series. That was my second series in Toronto. I had done this for years. I made a living doing it. I made a lot of money doing it. Not crazy money, but I made like $100,000 a year back at like 25. That's a lot of money, dude. Had a nice car, nice place. I come out here, I'm eating ramen. I'm starting over again, and I do this thing, and I'll never forget this. This guy turns to me after we finish shooting this whole thing. He goes, "Zach, come here. I want to talk to you." I'm like, yeah. I didn't have the glasses back then, so the eyes were much bigger, and the hair was long, and I'm just a goober. And I'm like, "Yo, what's going on?" He's like, "You know, Zach," he was a sound guy. He's like, "You know, Zach, just want to say I was watching you. You're really good." "Really?" "Yeah, you're really good. You're really talented. I think you're going to go somewhere. Yeah, I have something for you." He reaches in his card. He reaches in his wallet, takes out a card. And in my mind, I'm thinking, I've made it. This is my shot. I knew it would work. I knew it would work out for me. You just got to believe. And he passes me a card. He's like, "You call them. You tell him I gave him the card. Give him my name." I'm like, "Thank you so much." Shake his hand. I don't even look at it yet. I just want to say thank you. "Thank you so much." He turns around and he walks away, and I'm like, and it's an extras casting company. And I had never done extra work in my life because I grew up doing it. And it kicked me in the balls so hard that I realized that I had to start again where no one gave a shit. And I rode my motorcycle home. That motorcycle was from 1978. I had to wear a garbage bag over my body, taped around my arms because I couldn't afford a rain suit. And I rode back to Pasadena, and I thumbtacked that on the door. And every morning I got up, I looked at it, and I just was like, "Fuck you, I'm gonna do better." Every single day. So that was probably the craziest thing I've ever done.
What year was this?
95.
This is when you came to Pasadena?
Yeah, I came to Hollywood.
Came to Hollywood, but stayed in Pasadena.
Yeah.
And did you ever did you ever do
Nope.
Never did.
Nope.
So you use that as like this fuel, basically.
Yeah.
And then once that whole conversation took place, how soon before you booked something, whether it was just a bit part in a commercial?
I booked a movie about 3 weeks after that for, what's the guy who did he did Little Shop of Horrors. Roger Corman. Roger Corman was doing a thing for Showtime, back when Showtime made crap. And this was the Roger Corman horror hour thingy movie selection. So I did this movie called Star Hunter, which is Stella Stevens, Roddy McDowell, and myself, and Rebecca Buddig, and Ken Scott, and it is horrible. It's horrible, but it was awesome. I was shooting, I was doing movie stuff, and I was up and running. It was good.
And you rode your motorcycle from Pasadena, like 4 a.m. to be on set?
Yeah.
And do you remember how you felt that first day?
Ecstatic, because that's something that I was comfortable with. I was comfortable. I'm comfortable being on set, doing my job, helping people do their job, being part of the crew, getting it done. I've been a PA, an office PA, a boom man, and a grip back in Toronto. So I knew set decor and backwards and forwards, and I grew up on my mother's knee, be it backstage in theaters or on film sets. So once I hit the set, I'm ready to rock and roll. But trying to overcome the machinery of all these people I don't know in Hollywood, the casting directors, and how to get there was very, very intimidating.
When did you throw that business card away?
Still have it.
Did you take it down at some point from the door?
Yeah.
But you
It's in a
still have-
file. Well, I still got it.
What's the file called?
I don't know. It's just in one of my filing cabinets, and it's, you open it up and ghosts come out.
When you're making decisions about your career, how often do you listen to other people and how often do you listen to your gut?
I make my decisions based upon good advice from people who are smarter than me, and then my own innate feeling as to what I trust about the situation. And that's changed over the years. I've been giving that a lot of study recently. Excuse me. There's a book called Never Be Lied to Again. They based a TV series called Lie to Me on it, and it's about micro expressions. And I can honestly say that the biggest mistakes I've made in the last 8 years that have had the longest reaching ramifications financially and time-wise were because I didn't trust my gut. And your quote gut is really your brain processing micro expressions and telling you that something's wrong and you're not listening to it. So I use that and I trust that a lot more. And then going for walks is, I think, very important. Getting away from my phone, my computer, other people's opinions, going for a walk, just listening to yourself and talking it out. I am that guy who walks in circles talking to himself because it's helpful. So I try to use a combination of that. But when it comes to being on set, when I'm directing something, career decisions come down to what the shot's going to be, the lighting, working with my talent. I will defer always to the people who have a lot of experience in the technical aspect and are so good at that technical aspect that they have kung fu and now have brought it up to an artistic level because I've worked with them for years, and when they give a suggestion, there's a lot of weight behind it. So that's how I offset my own opinion with others. That's the garbage truck. It's okay, we have them here in Hollywood.
So the canine smile, when they show that's actually a sign of aggression.
Is it?
And then that was what I learned from micro expressions too, because I just recently found out about it, or how our right brain shows on our left side of our face or whatever.
Yeah, right. Or using base systems to figure out where somebody's telling the truth or where they're uncomfortable and they're remembering a lie.
They look to one right.
Yeah.
Left.
So you set up a base, yeah.
Right.
Or if they're trying to lie, they say things like, "Yes, you're right. I will completely do that." And you're like, "What? Why does it feel uncomfortable?"
Where do you walk?
Around my backyard, around the block, over the 7-Eleven.
Nice.
Out back. Yeah. It's not glamorous. It's just life.
How did the script for Don't Blink find you, or did you find it?
I would say I found it. I worked at raising money for financing for a bunch of years, and I had no idea what I was doing. And eventually I was introduced through my producing partner, Carl Lucas, introduced me to a gentleman, Nathan Lobrieski, last name very difficult to say. And they agreed to give me money. And they said, "Zach, you can write it, direct it, produce it, star in it." I said, "No, I don't want to do that," because it was the first thing I was doing as a producer, and I didn't know how to do everything at one time. I said to them, "Look, I'd like to produce or direct, and on this one I want to produce. And I have somebody I think would be a good director for it. And then also my scripts at this budget level are more comedy, and I don't think they travel as well because people laugh in different countries, and the cultural value of comedy doesn't really transition well in other languages. So comedies do okay in the country, but not necessarily outside. But everybody goes boo the same way. And then starring in it, I'm like, I would like to get bigger names than me in order to help guarantee distribution. And so those were my thoughts. Then a friend of mine, Travis Oates, I was working at Acme Comedy Theater. I was part of the Acme A-team. So every Saturday night you do basically like Saturday Night Live type of thing, sketch comedy. And he was the owner of Acme at the time, and he was a scriptwriter who had sold a bunch of different scripts to large studios, and so he had a stable of really good scripts, and he had this concept for one And so when I told him the budget level, he wrote the script in like 3 days. Yeah, he's that guy. He's like, gets it done super fast. And so he did it and he directed it. So yeah, I brought him on board, and then I brought Brian Austin Green on board, and Brian was the contact to Mina Savari because they had worked together on the movie Domino. And Brian and I had worked together on Terminator: The Sarah Connor Chronicles, and which is a funny story because I play a hero from the future. And so if you're coming from the future to the present, in the Terminator world, you're naked. So that's a great way to meet the entire cast and crew. Dude, I'm a white guy. I'm a ginger. So this is, needs a tan. You know what I'm saying? And so the first thing is like in my macho pose, future ball of cosmic energy, and my chest explodes because I've been shot in the future. And then as I pow, erg, and I go away, and I'm walking around, and everybody like, hi, this is nice to meet you. Kind of embarrassing, to be honest. And I'm sitting down, and Brian Austin Green walks over, and he's a big dude. Like, I don't know if you know that, but like he's like 6'2"-ish, and he looks like he plays football. He's a big cat. And I'm sitting down on set in my bathrobe, feeling uncomfortable, and he's eyeballing me. He's like, how do I know you? Like, I don't know. You saw me naked over there. That might be. He's like, no. What do I know you from? I don't know you. It's like, this, Titus, that. He's like, no, I saw Titus. That's good, but that's not it. It's not it. Resident Evil Apocalypse, Almost Famous. Like, no. It's like, Christmas Story? He's like, oh my God! I love Christmas Story! My son loves Christmas Story. We watch it every year. And he pulls a fanboy. It was hilarious. I'm like, okay, creepy. I'm not wearing any clothes. So we start butting it up. And then I reached out to Brian, and I told him about the script. He read it. He loved it. He came on board, which was huge. And Brian is very talented. Like, watching him, and I didn't know his work really before. Since 90210, I hadn't really paid attention to him, and I didn't really care for 90210 because I wasn't a little girl, teenage girl. So when I saw him on Terminator, I was blown away by how good he was. Like, holy crap, he's just really profoundly depthful. And so when he came on board with us, I was very happy. And then he brought on Mina, and that's how we got everything kind of running. I think I answered the question.
You did. I think I did. What was the time frame from when Travis, right? He wrote the script, 3 days. Then when did you actually go to the location and start shooting? We got the script, we got the money in like August of 2000. Yeah, we got it in like August. And then we got everything set up, written, locked down, location scouting, casting October, and then started shooting January 2nd. January 2nd, wow. So
yeah.
It's still with champagne residue in your hair or whatever.
Yeah, it was awesome. And we were shooting in Ruidoso, New Mexico, but Carl is from Roswell, New Mexico, and there's a the film department. Right. Sorry, tired. Film department in there, and there's also like military barracks nearby. So I'm staying in like military barracks on a cot, and my girlfriend at the time was like, well, what didn't you do something for Christmas? I'm like, sweetie, I've got a movie. Santa Claus came. This is all good. I don't need anything else. This is all I want to do. I want to go through contracts. I want to learn the DGA. This is awesome. That's all I wanted. There was nothing else that anybody could give me besides that. That was just ecstatic. So, we shot for 22 days. Yeah, 6-day weeks, which is always, everybody who's a filmmaker out there will know 6-day weeks suck. And the first day back after the 1-day weekend, nobody's friendly. Nobody's friendly.
You talked about earlier that a lot of people don't want to do things themselves. So how much of this putting together Don't Blink was about you keeping stuff going forward in your career? You don't strike me as the person that waits.
Yeah. I've been blessed with the opportunity to work on a lot of films. I think my IMDb is 107, and I've worked with Cameron Crowe, which is amazing, and I've worked with Mr. Spielberg, fantastic, and I worked with Michael Bay, incredible technical director, and really knows his stuff. And I've worked with people who don't know jack dick, and it pisses me the fuck off. So I got pissed about that, and I had a choice, shut up or put up, and I can't shut up. I just have too big a mouth. So I decided to keep pushing forward and trying to make something. And that, yeah, Don't Blink was about turning talk into action and seeing if you can do it. Get in the ring and throw some punches. Worst case scenario, I fail. But at least then I would know. And if I didn't try, then I'd finish this life doubting myself and knowing that I'm a liar because I never put my money where my mouth was. So I had to. I really had to. There was no option.
Of your 107, I thought I saw actually 108, but 107-ish credits, how many of them were that same mentality? And how many of them were letting people choose you for something?
I mean, when it comes to, that's on the feature films, it depends upon the project. If they're, lower budget projects, I obviously have a lot more control over. When I'm working on Transformers, I'm really not in charge. When I'm working on Almost Famous, I did get to pitch stuff to Cameron Crowe, which was cool. I got to change up some lines in there and tweak it out, and which was good. But really, Don't Blink is the first film that I produced. I associate produced on a film called Monster Mutt, and I've directed one short film. But those are the extensions of me trying to grasp things and make them happen. And always the difficulty is doing the job is not hard for me. Getting the money to do the job is the hard part, and then making sure that once you get the money and do the job, you get the money back to the people who gave you the money so that you can show them the respect for their investment, and then you can move on to the next one. And that's not an immediate process. So it takes a while.
Would you say you're detail-oriented?
Yes.
How do you follow up? Because what I've seen with a lot of people is they have such great intentions and they don't follow up on stuff. It seems like to you follow up, you maybe tie up loose ends. Am I wrong? Or?
I would consider myself detail-oriented because when I was a kid, I used to come out to LA to visit my father. My father's a general contractor. And one thing I was really good at was painting and messing that up, but cleaning. And even today, if I'm on set, I broom as I go so that there's nothing left behind, there's nothing to trip over, no one's gonna get hurt. I also worked in kitchens as a kid, so there's a yes chef response. My PAs on my crews, I'm like, ladies and gentlemen, they're like, yes sir, I need this, does everybody have that? Yes sir, thank you guys. There's a respect level, but I do that so that everybody understands what is required, and if they don't, go, no, I don't understand that. Okay, how can I clarify that? Because I don't want anybody running around in big circles and coming back with empty hands, because it wastes time, which wastes money, and we don't have a lot of money. I'm detail-oriented because it's easier to do it right the first time than to apologize for fucking it up. And I know I'm going to screw things up, but not out of a lack of due diligence. So I try to be as detail-oriented as I can be, not to micromanage, but in order to ensure the fluidity of the work process.
I get the sense that Don't Blink was your biggest risk so far.
Yes, Don't Blink was a huge risk in the sense that it was my first movie that I produced. So I was convincing people that I should do it and that they should give me their money and trust me with their money and go finish a movie and give them a finished product, and I would not drop the ball. And I mean, I didn't go to film school. I didn't have anybody give me a booklet. I couldn't oh wait, what's the answer to that problem? Oh, it's right there. Is it? That's awesome. Thanks guys, we do the thing. It's over there. I had no fucking idea. And it's always funny when you look back on your life and you realize how stupid you were and how full of crap you were, but you're like, we can do it. And so yeah, it was a huge risk for the investors and a huge risk for me because I was not willing to stop. There were so many times when there were issues and frustrations and problems that you wanted to be like, oh, oh my God, I can't do this anymore. This is insane. Because on a film budget like that, I paid myself like 10 grand to produce and act in the thing. And it took many years to get this done. So I know people who wash dishes who make more money. Good people, good friends. But yeah, they're making bank compared to me. I get made fun of by busboys, is what I'm saying. So there's a point where you're like, I can't do this thing. I don't want to do it. I don't want to edit the movie again. Like, you're just exhausted. But I realized I couldn't. That was the thing, is I couldn't not do it, because then you never get another shot. No one will ever be like, hey, I heard you fucked up your first movie. I'd love to give you more cash. No. So the only chance I get is to make this movie as best I can, get it distribution, dance like a monkey at bar mitzvahs until enough people buy it and my investor's in the black, then we high five and make another film. But yeah, it was, I guess if I really knew what I was getting into back then, I might have backpedaled. But that's kind of the joy of being stupid. Wait, I think I just insulted myself.
Do you think that's stupid, or do you think it's maybe having that intuition that I got to do this? Like, it was Mark Maron. I watched him on something, and he said, I guess he's like, I'm 47. He's like, this is like my life. This is now.
Yeah.
Do you think that you have a realization that this is now, and I need to make this happen?
Yeah, I have that more now. I'm 45, and I feel there's a great poem by a Dutch anonymous poet, and it says, live, is in quotation, live, death whispers in my ear, I am coming. And I don't mean that melodramatically, but band all marches into the same, fairground. So I feel like I'm enjoying it more now. I don't feel like I'm desperate to try and prove something. I am proving it just by my life and by my actions. But I am very grateful that I threw my hat over the fence. Have you ever heard the John F. Kennedy story?
I haven't.
John F. Kennedy, when he was a kid, they used to, he went to high-end, fancy, schmancy schools, and they wore uniforms. And they would have a cap on. And when they're coming home from school, they would walk by these gorgeous estates. And they'd be thinking, I wonder what's in there over that fence. We should go check that out over there. And they're like, well, we can't, we'll get in trouble. And JFK would take his hat and throw it over. He's like, well, now I have to go. So I throw my hat, if that makes sense.
Did you have any sleepless nights?
Yeah.
Few?
Yeah. About 2 years.
Sleepless nights?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is, Don't Blink is my baby. Yeah, and I walked around patting the film canister like this and burping it and changing his little hard drive. Yeah.
When you got stressed out, was your way, again, to go for a walk, turn off the phone, go, and then think it out and get some kind of clarity, or?
There was that, when in moments of conflict, it was very important to drink a lot of scotch. No. It was important to, yes, be calm, breathe deeply, watch other movies. And if possible, watch the director's commentary and the producer, more importantly for me, the producer's commentary, because it helps you put things in perspective. Even great movies have problems. You watch a movie, there's one of his, True Romance. Great movie. Love that film. There's some editing fuck-ups in there. Hard to find. I'm not going to bring them up, but there's some definitely like, whoa. That doesn't match. It's not a match cut edit. His arm was up here in one shot, and that was down here in this other shot. And you're like, but that's okay. So it gives you that ability to stop taking every nanosecond so personally, and you have to make producerial decisions that are for the betterment of the film and for the investor as well as for the audience, and can't be masturbatory. And then there's issue because you can't just be like, it has to be this way or nothing. You have to make a product that people want to watch and the investor can get their money back, as opposed to never having it end and being overly overwhelmed with this one microcosm right here where you have this whole universe to deal with, and trying to get a perspective on it. Yeah, it really is a life-changing experience. I'm sure I'm sure that your audience watches and builds movies themselves. And I'm sure they know exactly what I'm talking about.
And you stayed in a different area during the filming
Right.
when you were in New Mexico. Explain your process for that.
When we were shooting Don't Blink in Rio Doce, New Mexico, we were talking off camera, but we had the top of this mountain. It was a developer was making sort of like a gated community where there are all these house opportunities, and we had 3 different houses up there. The big, beautiful cabin that you see the movie shot in, and then this other incredible house, another incredible house. And dude, they were like $2 million for the cabin, 1.7, 1.8, like freaking fantastic. And I put the ladies up in this one and the dudes up in this one, and director and blah blah blah. And as I said, use the garage of this one for catering, and because you got a crew of like 80 people, and then you got building props over here, and then over here you've got production and makeup and all that. So every square foot was utilized, luxurious, but like utilized. And I stayed down the mountain with my producing partners. Carl Lucas and Alan Trevor, and also the post-production supervisor, and we would swap out who took the couch. And the reason I wanted to do that is, my cast I put in these beautiful houses, and really the accoutrements were incredible. You've got pool tables and giant screens and jacuzzis on decks overlooking forest and massive valleys. It was stunning, and I didn't stay there for a couple of reasons. I wanted my cast to have a great time. I wanted them to be excited and feel important, and that they were doing something more than the budget of the film. I've done low budget feature films before as an actor solely, and when I showed up on one project, and we are, Winnebago, 5-banger. A 5-banger is when you've got like a little room, little room, little room, little room, little room, right? And you've got place for a bed. You walk in the door, there's a bed, here's a sink, over here's a toilet. You get the fuck out. Like, that's it, right? And I remember coming to work, I'm the star of this little low-budget film, LA Twister, and the whole thing is flooded with poop water from the toilet. And I still have to get dressed in there. I'm standing on a fucking apple box, going over the bed, getting my shit done. Going like, really, dude? Like, really? Like, come on. Like, really? Because you're not getting any money, so you're supposed to be in it for the art, but it's hard to focus that when you smell like your own poop. That's not the world I wanted to create. So by putting my actors up in those areas, they felt glamorous. They felt, we are actors, and they needed that. And then by keeping them away from me and my producing partner, we could go into our building, and we could fucking lose our minds or discuss things and who's a problem and who's not, and how we curtail the issue without them taking it personally. Because you don't want to do that around them, because they're not seeing the overview. They're seeing, I'm acting, and you might be like, yeah, that's great, but this person's spending 15 minutes too long in the chair, makeup chair, every day. Well, in 20 days, I can't give them that much time. That's costing me money. That's costing me over $1,000. No, we have to trim this down. Let's move her along. Who's going to bring her breakfast in the chair, get her coffee? Because if we start with her hair, she can be eating the burrito. While she does that, then that'll save us time. But you don't want to do that in front of an actor. You want to be there going, hey man, good morning. How are you? You look great. Oh, the stuff looked so good yesterday. So good, so good. So they're excited, right? And also as a producer, I kind of wanted to keep a separation from the cast, so there was a little bit of deference. Someone was like, hey guys, we got to tighten up, we got to move. They're like, oh, okay, yeah, that guy's still kind of a dick, even though we're acting with him. All right, fine. We got a topic a little bit. We started talking about people seeing dailies. Fuck no. Fuck no. Problem is, anybody out there who's watching this, walk by a mirror. What do? You make your mirror face. Mine's horrible. I got slanty eyes to start off with, so when I do my mirror face, they basically disappear into the freckles on my face. But everybody makes a mirror face because you're making a comparison about how you see yourself in your mind to what you really look like. I'm always sadly disappointed, but the reality of the matter is when an actor is looking at the monitor, they're making a mirror face. And they start going, oh, I don't know if I look good in that angle. Well, fuck off. And the angle is not for you to decide. That's for me to decide as a director or producer. If I'm producing, that's for my director to choose. If I'm directing, that's for me to choose, because you don't know where it goes in the edit. Your job is to be doing what you do fantastically, caught up in that emotion. If you're trying to tell someone, I love you so much, and you're looking for your angle, you suck and you're ruining my movie. I need you to be that raw person that is right for the moment. And if they start looking at the monitor, then they start posing when they do stuff, and now you're useless. Now you might as well go Hitchcock and shoot their hands for actually the rest of the scene, because you can't use their face and their eyes are lying. So yeah, I do not allow my cast to look at the monitor. They can look when they've wrapped on the show. If they drop by, they can watch somebody else's takes, not their own.
We had a student in middle school message us recently, and they said, enjoy your videos, would like to get into acting, but they explained what was holding them back, and this is how it reads. Well, many reasons, but for the most part, it's problems in school. I stress out a lot about school because of bullying, and I'm still kind of shy. I've been working on getting rid of this bad habit, I guess the shyness. Do you have any advice for me? I've stuck it in my mind that after this school year, I will start acting.
Okay, I've got some advice for you. What's this fella's name?
Well, they're anonymous.
Oh, okay, anonymous. I have some advice for you. Act. If you have a camera and you have computer, then you should find your favorite movies of all time and find your favorite scenes of all time from your favorite actors of all time and do those scenes. Just do those. You don't have to show them to anybody else but yourself. Just do that. You can do that all by yourself without anybody judging you, and you can play. You just sit in front of the camera, practice every script. I swear to God, you can find any script you want online, print it out, then you can read the script, you can go over the scene on the TV, you can watch how they're doing it, you can sort of compare, and then you can play with it, and you can make it your own. Don't try to imitate that person. Try to make it who you are, because you're obviously, if you're going to do Scarface, you're not him. You're not Al Pacino. You're not a late 30s, mid 30s year old guy from, maybe you're a kid. Maybe you create your own backstory for that. Where did he come from? How did he get that scar? That would be cool, right? Then you shoot it on your own camera and you watch it and you can think, oh my God, I suck. That was horrible. And you can laugh about it. Guess what? I watched stuff that I did before and I'm like, ugh, that moment was horrible, but I can do better. The moments where you suck are just as important as the moments where you're good, because they help you make a comparison value of your own sense of objective art. So do that, play, enjoy the process. And then when you watch other people, if you go to an acting class outside of your school, so it's not involved in any of that social crap that goes on in a high school, which honestly, anybody who's getting bullied out there, you got to realize if you're in high school, this shit's gonna end real soon, dude. And real life takes over, and nobody cares about those people, the bullies. And actually, in the real world, everyone thinks they're dicks. So when someone goes from being a bully in high school and comes out of high school and is still like, yo, dude, what's up, fag? How's it going? No one likes them. They don't get good jobs, and they fail in life miserably. So feel better about yourself. Go find another environment where you don't have that bullcrap social aspect about your acting class, and have fun doing that. And remember, watching other people is as important as being on stage yourself. I still do it. If I go to an acting class, I'll watch somebody else, and even if they suck, and sometimes they really suck, I'll wonder why they suck, and I'll have to break it down in my head, like, why do I think this person is just not hitting the comedy or the dramatic beats? I'm like, oh, because they're doing this. Do I do that? I did that one time. Yeah, I did, didn't I? Okay. Good point. Thank you very much. I'm, again, talking to myself. But that's as helpful for me as when I do something really well. And because if you're involved in the process, your goal isn't to be the world's greatest actor in 2 seconds. Your goal is to enjoy the moment-to-moment experience of emoting and feeling the reality of that story, so when people watch you, they feel the reality. So you can start doing that all by your lonesome with a camera of any crappy camera that you have. You can have, they have like iMovie, although it's the worst editing software there is. It's on your frickin' phone. Or yeah, hotwire a car, sell it, and buy editing gear. I'm kidding, don't do that. But that'll help. There you go, Anonymous. Go get him, Tiger.
Was there a defining moment when a casting director, regular director just said, oh, you're a character actor? How did you know that?
Let's see. When I was younger, I got the opportunity to audition for some really good roles, and I was told I didn't get them because I have red hair. And literally, I remember one specifically where a great part, TV series, Canadian TV series, where the character I'm going for is beaten up very badly, and this other guy, his buddy, is killed, and my character is potentially on trial for being the killer. And the horrible secret is the other guy is his gay lover and they love each other dearly, but he doesn't want to say that because he's afraid his father will disown him. So obviously this is back in the 80s, early 90s, back when being gay was an issue. So I get to have this great couple of auditions, and there's so much pain and fear in the kid, my character, and I've got like a room full of 12 people weeping. And it was a great cathartic experience for me. And then I was told after, like, oh, you're great, but it's just the red hair. I was like, what the fuck does that have to do with anything? You can dye it. Or, you know, there are people who have red hair. We're not from Mars, you dick. And they're like, yeah, no. And I realized that I was never going to fit anybody's expectation. No one ever wrote in a script like, this really super good looking guy with slanty green eyes and freckles and red hair and kind of a dick, but kind of a lovable dick, walks in the room. Like, they don't do that. There was that, and then I remember I auditioned for this horrible piece of crap TV series called Silk Stockings, and the casting director, I think she was a character from The Simpsons, because this is back in the day. She was smoking. She was smoking in the room like this. She talked like this the entire time. And I can't remember her name. She was skinny as a rail. I'm sure she had 12 cancers at the time. She's just talking like this the whole time. And I come in and I do the part. She's looking at my headshot resume shake. You're a good actor. Not really what you call a looker, but you're a good actor. I was like, what do you mean I'm not a looker? but I want to be a looker. My mom says I'm a looker. So it was just the experience of constantly being cast as the good-looking guy's best friend, or the person who eats the good-looking guy's dog, or the killer bad guy. It's just, they assume that, you know, casting is very linear in its thought process. And you know, I went from doing a bunch of movies and then dramas, and they're like, then I went to audition for Titus sitcom, and they're like, oh, Zach can't do sitcoms, he does dramatic film. And then I do Titus for 3 years, and then I go to doing dramatic film, like, oh, Zach can't do dramatic film, he does Titus. And literally it went back and forth over and over again. So I call myself a character actor because I become what is needed to get the job, as opposed to the job looking for me because I fit what they want. Does that make sense?
It does. So when you hear someone say something like that and put whatever meaning you want to it, what the casting director for Silk Stockings said, do you almost view yourself as a third person? Because you realize, you know, she's not really referring to me, even though she is. Right. But you almost see yourself as like another entity at that point, so that you can keep doing this?
Yeah, you look at yourself and you think, what's the product I'm selling? Right? And, you know, if you're Josh Duhamel, Josh is a great looking guy. Josh and I work together on Transformers. He's a sweetheart. He's awesome. He's not getting jobs as the serial killer. He's getting jobs as the guy who finds a serial killer and beats him up, or the fireman who defeats the bad guys, or that he's, because when people look at him, he's a very handsome 6'4" guy. So they're like, we want a leading man. Boop, he hits that. Now, I'm not saying it's better for him because of that, because there's a lot of guys who look like that who don't have any work. I think in some ways it's easier for me to keep on finding roles to fit into. And like I said, it is, what are you selling? When I look like this, I've got glasses and a t-shirt and short hair, and I look very like I'm serious and professional. I put on a wig, long hair like I did in Blood Rain 2. I look sexy as fuck. I'm covered in tattoos. I did a movie where I was covered in tattoos, sort of longish hair, tattoos around here, all down here, tanned. It was a spray-on tan. Shut up. And I'm futzing with a guitar, which I cannot play guitar. Okay, cannot play the guitar. And the producer walks by and is like, "You should be a musician, because you look just like a musician." I'm like, "Might help if I could play an instrument, dumbass, or sing." But it's all about the perception of what you're selling. Now, but I didn't want to wear fake tattoos for the next 20 years and continuously try and sell that one thing. To me, it's something I put on. So I guess that's why I'm a character actor, because I blend into the character in order to fit the role, whereas other roles go after, they fit themselves around the performer. Did that make sense?
It does. What's your advice to actors who come out here and want to be that leading person? Because it's a bitter pill to swallow. Even if you're good looking, which you are, and for whatever reason, if those casting directors didn't see you as the leading man, how do you make that switch inside you that says, well, I still want to act?
Well, I mean, it's again, back to the camera thing. It's such a different world that you can constantly be creating your own reality now. You don't need a 35mm camera. You don't need a Panavision freaking camera. You don't need a $1.3 million rig. You can have a $500 rig, and you can do it yourself and try. And you can put stuff on YouTube. And like, the actors now that are really interesting are the ones who do push themselves. And I think that paradigm has shifted massively. It's not just I'm Johnny Depp and everything, and now he's shifting it up again. But it's the Breaking Bads, the Game of Thrones, the shows that are pushing the limits of the character's envelope are the ones that are now being touted as the level of excellence. Whereas before it wasn't. Before it was, oh, they're pretty. Right. Aren't they pretty? We all want to be pretty. And now you look at Sons of Anarchy. Freaking awesome show. But it's about the character, not just about the symmetry of the facial lines. And I think anybody who's starting up now should look at that as an opportunity. Even if you're freaking gorgeous, play with that, because you can always go back to being beautiful, but try the ugliness. Look at, again, Brad Pitt, but also Bruce Willis in 12 Monkeys. They both went wackadoo.
Charlize Theron.
Oh my God, a monster? Mm-hmm. Freaking awesome. Got her an Oscar.
Right.
And she's crazy hot.
Why do you think some talented and lovable child actors have trouble making that leap, crossing over, and sometimes turning on themselves?
I think child actors have difficulty transitioning to being an adult for a number of reasons. One, depending upon how famous they were when they were kids and how they were treated and how indulged they were. It's very dangerous. It's dangerous if you're just a parent, to treat your children with kid gloves, let alone imagine all the luxuries a celebrity child gets and then becomes accustomed to it. And then, you saw me in Christmas Story. I was not a handsome kid. I ended up getting this big, I hit the stage when I was a little kid. I had a little nose. I had big eyes. I had these cheeks, chubby cheeks. I hit a certain age, the thing came out. I had the braces. Everybody's got this period in their life where their hormones are just trying to make them as asexually and unattractive as possible. So to go through that and to continue working, is really difficult. And then I guess it also depends. There's construction outside, so I might speak up. It also depends what it is you want to accomplish. Because if your goals when you were a kid was to be fawned over is the word I'm looking for, to be fawned over and pet in the head and praised, well then as soon as you're off set and not on the red carpet, then no one cares. And if your show ends, then the people are like, oh, yeah, whatever happened to you? If your job is to, if what you find satisfaction in is the process of it, then you're going to keep on pushing forward. And when I was a kid, I shoveled walks. I grew up very, very poor. So when I was like 6 years old, I was shoveling snow off of neighbors' walks for anywhere from 30 to 50 cents per pop. I was delivering newspapers. I was working as a stock boy. I worked in kitchens. Worked at a guy named Tobe, who was a schmatas dealer. I worked for my dad, painting and cleaning and brooming. And then I got into martial arts when I was 10 to 11. A couple of 2-3 years there, I was doing fencing, and I got into taekwondo, and I got into boxing, and then I had a bunch of amateur fights, and then I traveled. But the thing is, I like being in the gym. I like being in the dojo. I like doing the bag work. I like doing the groundwork. I like getting stronger. I like doing the job. I like eating, but I like cooking the meal. I like being in the kitchen, using the knives, cutting the stuff up, and making it look cool and putting new flavors together. I like the process. I don't just want people to go, yay, here's food. I want to actually make it. So I took that attitude towards working, and it wasn't about the red carpet for me, because in Canada I never got a fucking red carpet. And I think that was a saving grace. And I think, again, I'll reiterate it, make your own stuff. I have a friend of mine, James Cullen Bressick. This little bastard is 22 years old and has directed 12 movies. Dick. And if you're watching it, James, you're a dick. And his first one, I mean, he's 18 years old getting it out there, and he used social media to launch it as high as he could, and he's calling all the film festival and like, I'm an 18-year-old filmmaker, take pity on me. And he made a pretty crappy movie, but guess what? They all wrote him up, and he got on Amazon. It was like in the top 30 of all movies, all. And his movie, not so bueno. But the fact is, he got it. He's doing it. And because he did it, because he didn't stop. He didn't wait for someone else to give it to him. And I think with younger actors, when they're trying to transition, when they become, back in my day, especially I think what you're referencing is the different Strokes kids and the Corey Feldmans and the Corey Haims and the people who ended up being kind of disasters and doing cocaine and getting heavily into the drugs and making bad decisions. And I know exactly why they did that. And I didn't have that success when I was a kid. I would say the closest I got to that was really when I was doing Titus, and I had a 500-person audience. And in the last season of Titus, I was like a fucking Beatle. Like, I had kids lined up, boys and girls, because the character was kind of androgynously sexual towards both genders, which is awesome. And they were like, we love you! And I'm like, I'm married, but thank you very much. And I do remember like the high of that live performance being so great and wanting that not to stop and starting to drink too much. Because at that point, I wasn't writing. I wasn't pursuing financing. I wasn't going on lynda.com and learning how to edit. I wasn't going to the National Association of Broadcasters show in Vegas and talking to everybody and asking about how software works and asking questions. I wasn't buying tools. I was buying toys and hoping things were going to work out for me. No one taught me. I had to figure it the fuck out. And I wanted that high to continue. And so I I glug. And you don't get smarter getting drunker. You don't get anything else accomplished. You talk about it. Dude, we showed you that thing we were talking about. You're awesome. Blah. And then you wake up and you're like, what happened? Oh, that's gross. Did we shoot that movie? No, we just talked about it. Crap. So I understand why they did that in the 80s, those kids. And because they couldn't grab a camera, or they felt they couldn't grab a camera. But now, cameras and editing gear and a portal for distribution, being YouTube or whatever you want to try, it's ubiquitous. It's everywhere. It's affordable. You can borrow it. You know, if your buddy has a camera and you don't, paint his house, borrow his shit. Hard work will get you everything you need, pretty much, and then talent and more hard work gets you the next way. And so I hope nowadays that people can feel the freedom to transition and still feel creative. Like, I made Don't Blink. I'm an actor for 35 years now. I'd like to be acting the rest of my life, but more importantly, I'd like to be creating for the rest of my life. And if I'm not in front of the camera because my name in front of the camera is not bringing money to the production, then okay, let somebody else have that position, because that's respect for my investors. But I'll still get to be creative. My life doesn't end because I'm not on the red carpet or I'm not the one being interviewed. I'd just be as happy asking the questions.